The Unknown Reality, Session 697, May 13th, 1974, 9:18 p.m. And this is Seth speaking now. These idealizations, as discussed in the last session, are certain kinds of psychic patterns, then occurring at different levels. In certain terms, they become the cell's private idea of its own growth and development, a picture alive within the cell in terms of physical information, a part of its structure. Such idealizations provide their own impetus, that is, they will grow towards their greatest fulfillment. The idealizations themselves are made of conscious stuff. These are not inert data. The nature of probabilities determines the framework in which these fulfillments can take place, and frames living developments. The structure of probabilities provides, on the one hand, a system of barriers in which practical growth is not chosen or significant, and on the other hand, it ensures a safe, creative, rich environment, a reality in which the idealization can choose from an almost infinite variety of possible actions, those best suited to its own fulfillment. In any system, the idealization has already accepted certain kinds of events as significant and has rejected other, quite as probable events as non-significant. This simply provides a workable focus in which achievement and experience can happen. In simple terms, you will not try to achieve something that you believe impossible within your own concepts of reality. The conscious mind, with its normally considered intellect, is meant to assess the practicality of action within your world. You will literally see only what you want to see. If the race believed that space travel was impossible, you would not have it. That is one thing. But if an individual believes that it's literally impossible for him to travel from one end of the continent to another, or to change his job or perform any act, then the act becomes practically impossible. The idealization of motion, however, in that person's mind, or of change, may be denied expression at any given time, but it will nevertheless seek expression through experience. This applies in terms of the species as well as the individuals, because you are now a conscious species. In your terms, there are racial idealizations that you can accept or deny. Often, at your particular stage of development as a race, these appear first in your world as fiction, art, or so-called pure theory. Thoughts have their own kind of structure, as cells do, and they seek their own fulfillment. They move toward like thoughts, and you have, as a species, an inner mass body of thought. Privately, your thoughts are expressions of your idealizations, and while expressing those inner patterns, they also modify and creatively change them. Each cell in your body is to some extent altered with each thought that you think. Each reaction of the cells alters your environment. The brain then responds to the alteration. There is a constant give and take. As the cells respond at certain levels to ever-changing streams of probabilities, so do your thoughts. Your body responds as you think it should. However, and so your conscious beliefs about reality have much to do with those probable experiences that you accept as part of your intimate living. The private blueprint, yours at birth, is in certain terms far greater than any one physical materialization of it that could occur in your space and time. This provides you with areas of choice, gives you manipulability, and allows for a myriad of probable activities possible. You are the judge and the final word in that regard, so that as your ideas change, as you move toward one probable self and decide upon that as your official self, you will always have a rich bank of probable actions to choose from. If only one were provided, you would have no choice. The same applies to the species. Now, give us a moment. And there's a pause here. It says lasting well over a minute. Your current decisions to accept one specific line of consciousness as real and to ignore others make such concepts difficult to understand. You train yourselves, biologically even, to inhibit certain stimuli, yet often the body itself responds to the very stimuli that you consciously ignore. By opening up your minds to new kinds of significances, however, you can begin to glimpse other orders of events with which you are quite intimately concerned. Often, for instance, you handle probabilities very well, while remaining consciously blind to them because of your concepts. Even then, however, on other levels, your unconscious reaction will follow your own conscious intents. You may make a move in physical life, for example, seemingly for one reason. You may also be unconsciously reacting to quite pertinent data regarding the probable actions of others. Because you do not really fully accept the fact that you can so react, you may block this unofficial information on the one hand, even while on the other you take it into consideration. You are far more aware than you realize of the probable future in areas with which you are concerned. This is true on all levels. If your purposes do not involve illness, for instance, and yet if you believe in contagion, you will automatically avoid circumstances that can lead to epidemics. In terms of probabilities, that particular kind will not enter your experience. All of this applies en masse in terms of diseases, for example, that run rampant through a species. I will have more to say concerning illnesses, epidemics, and mass disorders in this book. Consciousness, by its nature, continually expands. The nature of consciousness, as you understand it as a species, will, in one way or another, lead you beyond your limited ideas of reality. For your experience will set challenges that cannot be solved within your current framework. Those problems set by one level of consciousness will automatically cause breakthroughs into other areas of conscious activity where solutions can be found. Many of your global dilemmas seem so desperate only because in those areas you have gone as far as you can go without going further. The problems act as stimuli in that regard. This doesn't mean that you have to experience disasters. They are not preordained. It does mean that you have chosen certain experiences, but that these will automatically lead to further creative development if you allow them in. The idealization is one of brotherhood in terms of your species. Biologically, in your terms, such brotherhood operates instinctively in the cooperation of the body's cells as they function together to form the private corporal structure. At your viewpoint, you lose appreciation for the great individuality of each cell. You take it for granted that because the cells work so well together, they have no private uniqueness. In other terms, however, social terms, you have yet to achieve the same kind of spiritual brotherhood possessed by yourselves, and so you do not understand that the experience of your world is intimately connected with your own private experience. If you bum your finger, it hurts immediately. Your body instantly begins a cooperative venture in which adjustments are made so that the wound begins to heal. If a portion of the race is hurt, it may take a while before you feel the pain, but the entire unconscious mechanism of the species will try to heal the wound. Consciously, you can facilitate that development and admit your brotherhood with all other living beings. The healing will take place far quicker if you do. A biological brotherhood exists, an inner empathy on cellular levels, connecting all individuals of the species with one another. This is the result of a biological idealization. It exists in all species and connects all species. The race suffers when any one of its members die of starvation or disease, even as a whole plant suffers if a group of leaves are unhappy. In the same way, all members of the species are benefited by the happiness, health, and fulfillment of any of those individuals who compose it. Man can be aware of the vast medium of probabilities in which he exists and therefore consciously choose those best suited to those idealizations that point toward his greatest fulfillment. One part of the species cannot grow or develop at the expense of the other portions for very long. And then there's another pause, and he goes on to say, a photograph is to some extent a materialization of an idealization carried to a certain degree. At another level, your body and your experience is a far richer fulfillment, a living, presently experienced materialization. The picture of your world is still another. And here, Seth gives us a practice element number 7. If you can find a photograph of yourself as a member of a class, a graduation picture perhaps, or a photograph of club members, examine what you see there, then contemplate what is not seen. Imagine the emotional reality of each person present in the time that the photograph was taken. Then try to feel the emotional interactions that existed between the various individuals. Take your time, and when you are finished, try to get a glimpse of those intimate relationships that each person had with the other persons not present in the picture, but contemporary. Let your mind, after that, follow through by imagining contacts involving family interactions, reaching back through time prior to the taking of the photograph. Then think of all the probable actions that were either accepted or discarded, so that in time terms. Let me start the sentence again. I've really mangled it here. Then think of all the probable actions that were either accepted or discarded, so that in time terms, these people assembled for the photograph. Biologically, there were illnesses avoided, deaths that could have occurred but did not. In space, there were endless varieties of probabilities and decisions. People could have moved and did not, or others did move and so came into that particular space area. There were an infinite number of ideas behind all those decisions. You form your own experience. In greater terms, therefore, those people decided to be at that particular time and place, so that the photograph is the result of multitudinous decisions and represents a focus of experience rising from a myriad probabilities. The picture of the world represents in a greater dimensional fashion the same kind of focus. Your most intimate decision affects the species. You are the creator of yourself in time and space. You also have your own hand in the larger creativity of man's experience. And that ends the session. Oh my, wow, that was certainly interesting. I hope you enjoyed that. Food for thought, eh? My goodness, next time I look through a photo album, I'm going to see it in a whole different way. Well, till soon.